In 1949, an American company in Port Chester, New York, built something nobody had ever built before, a chainsaw one man could carry and run by himself. Before that, cutting timber with a powered saw took two guys and a lot of swearing. That company was Home Light. 14 years later, they dropped the XL12, magnesium frame, 12-pound power head, the saw you've seen in 100 old logging photos, and about 3 horror movies. America didn't just build chainsaws. America invented the chainsaw everybody actually uses. On November 16, 2001, John Deere sold Home Light to a conglomerate in Hong Kong. And that's pretty much the story of the entire industry. McCulloch ended up under Swedish ownership, Poulan followed a similar path, and Remington simply disappeared from the chainsaw business altogether. Every single American chainsaw brand you grew up with is now a nameplate somebody else holds the deed to. Now, before the comments fill up, yes, Stihl builds saws in Virginia Beach, has since 1974, and that plant is the biggest thing Stihl runs anywhere on Earth. Yes, Husqvarna builds chainsaws in Nashville, Arkansas. Nobody's hiding that. Everybody already knows it. This video isn't about them. This is about the 4 other brands still cutting steel on American soil. The 4 nobody puts in a listicle because most of the people writing those listicles have never set foot in a factory. One of them you can buy at a dealer this afternoon. One of them doesn't make a chainsaw at all, but every saw you've ever owned depends on them. One of them cuts concrete, not wood, concrete, 2 feet deep, square corners. And one of them weighs 7 pounds, makes more power than your gas saw, and is currently sitting on the bottom of a river somewhere, cutting a bridge in half. 4 brands. But the detail that stopped me cold wasn't what they make, it was where they make it. 3 of the 4 are still manufacturing in the exact same state, Oregon. Let's go through them. Let's start with the one you can actually go buy today. Drive about 40 minutes northwest out of Chicago and you'll hit Lake Zurich. 20,000 people. It's the kind of town where the loudest thing on a Tuesday morning is a school bus. No smokestacks, no rail yards, nothing that suggests anything gets built there. Then you come around a bend and there's a complex sitting in front of you. 771,000 square feet of it. That's Echo. Bring up Echo in any chainsaw argument and somebody will tell you it's a Japanese company. They're right. And that's usually where the conversation dies, which is a shame, because everything worth knowing happens after that sentence. Echo landed in America in 1972 as Kioritz Corporation of America, based in Northbrook, Illinois. Its only job was importing Japanese 2-stroke engines and selling them to Americans. A middleman with a U.S. mailing address. Then in 1985, they put up a 100,000 square foot plant in Lake Zurich and started building product instead of just moving it off a dock. 4 decades later, that plant is more than 7 times bigger, and Echo is the largest employer in the entire town. Somewhere along the way, the importer turned into a manufacturer. And Echo doesn't dance around what that means. Straight off their own site, they say their products are built in the United States from foreign and domestic parts. The majority of them, not all. They're telling you up front that some of it still comes from overseas, which is more than almost anyone else in this industry will admit in writing. So here's what's really going on. Echo's parent company is Yamabiko, out of Tokyo. The high-precision work, the engine design, the core internals happens at Japanese plants. Those parts get on a boat. Then, in Illinois, American workers build a chainsaw around them. If you're hunting for a saw where every single screw was born on American soil, stop looking. It doesn't exist. But if you want a chainsaw that's actually manufactured here by people who live here, Echo is the closest thing you've got. Take the CS59. Oh, Timber Wolf, the saw everybody points to. 59.8 cubic centimeters, 13.2 pounds dry, runs an 18, 20, or 24-inch bar. It's a legitimate professional class saw sitting at a price Stihl won't come near, and a serious chunk of it came together in that Illinois plant. Now, Echo is the only company on this list that makes what you'd picture when someone says chainsaw. Rear handle, gas engine, bar, and chain. The thing you grab when an oak comes down across your driveway. The other three, not one of them builds that, and the next company doesn't make chainsaws at all, which is exactly why it might matter more than any of them. In the fall of 1946, a logger in Oregon was splitting firewood and stopped to look at a stump. Inside it was a timber beetle larva, about the size of his finger, and it was chewing straight through solid, seasoned timber, across the grain, with the grain didn't matter. Wood that was giving him a hard time with a saw, this grub was going through like it was nothing. The logger's name was Joseph Buford Cox, and he spent the next several months trying to figure out how a bug was beating him at his own job. What he eventually built, in the basement of his house in Portland, was a steel cutter shaped like the larva's jaws. That's saw chain. That's the chain on your saw right now. Cox founded the Oregon Saw Chain Company in 1947, and the design he copied off a beetle became the foundation of modern chipper chain. Now here's why Oregon has to be on this list, and here's where I'm going to be straight with you in a way nobody else will be. Oregon does not build a gas chainsaw in America. That's the truth. If you're waiting for me to tell you there's a Portland-built, Oregon-branded gas saw sitting on a shelf somewhere, there isn't. And I'm not going to pretend there is just to keep a nice round number. What Oregon builds in Portland is the part that does the actual cutting. The chain, the guide bar, the sprocket. Think about what that means for a second. Pick up almost any chainsaw in North America, homeowner saw, pro saw, doesn't matter. And there's a real chance the thing biting into the wood came out of Portland, Oregon. Stihl's the rare exception. They make their own bar and chain, and they're proud of it. Almost nobody else does. Everyone else, they build a powerhead. And then they bolt Oregon's DNA onto the front of it. The company itself is a survivor story. It ran as Omark Industries, then got bought by Blount in 1985. Corporate headquarters sat in Montgomery, Alabama until 2002, then they moved the whole thing back to Portland. In 1997, they bought a manufacturer in Kansas City, Missouri, and picked up mower blades and garden products. And on May 10th, 2021, Blount International dropped the name and became Oregon Tool. 5 months later, in October, Platinum Equity closed on the acquisition. Today it's around 3,300 people, 17 locations, 10 plants across 5 countries. And yes, that means not every piece of Oregon chain in the world comes out of Portland. It doesn't. Some of it's made abroad, and I'm not going to tell you otherwise, but the engineering, the headquarters, the design center, the beetle-shaped tooth that started all of it, that's still in Portland. So Oregon isn't a chainsaw brand. It's the reason chainsaws work. And hold on to Portland, because we're going right back there. Everything we've talked about so far cuts wood. ICS looked at concrete and asked a question nobody else was asking. What if a chainsaw could cut that too? Let me be straight with you before we go further. Yes, ICS builds chainsaws, bar, chain, power head, the whole system. but not the way you're picturing them. Not for firewood, not for felling oaks, for concrete, for steel-reinforced walls, for ductile iron water mains under a live street. In 1990, a small team in Portland invented the world's first diamond chainsaw, a chain studded with industrial diamond segments that could plunge straight into cured concrete like it was pine. I know how that sounds. Let me give you the number that stopped me cold when I first read it. An ICS diamond chain and bar will plunge cut 25 inches deep. Square corners. No overcut. 2 feet straight into concrete, and the hole comes out so clean the crew doesn't have to touch it again. If you've ever watched a concrete demo job done the old way, jackhammer, dust everywhere, hammering for an hour to make one square hole, this changes everything. Doorways in existing walls, windows in basements, utility openings in bridge decks. Jobs that used to take a crew a full day now take one guy, and an ICS saw a couple of hours. The chains are designed and manufactured in Portland. The Merit floor saws, those flat concrete cutters you see rolling behind a guy in an orange vest at a road job. Those are hand-built to order, machined, and assembled here in the United States. And ICS didn't just stop at inventing the diamond chain. They patented something called Seal Pro, then Seal Pro Advanced, anti-stretch chain technology that keeps the chain from lengthening under load, so you spend less time tensioning and more time actually cutting. Then they went further. There's a chain called Power Grit that cuts ductile iron. Live water main under a street, and instead of shutting down the entire block, excavating a pit, and calling in specialty crews for 2 days, a utility worker walks up with a chainsaw and cuts straight through the pipe. Ductile iron, HDPE, PVC, cast iron, all of it. A chainsaw cutting metal water pipe in a hole in the road while the water below is still under pressure. This is a company still actively engineering new products in 2026, not maintaining a legacy nameplate, actually building. Headquartered in Portland, dealers in over 70 countries, and I would bet real money you've never heard the name ICS in your life. But here's where I have to hand you something the rest of the internet is going to leave out. ICS is owned by Organ Tool. Same company, same city, same parent as the Organ chain we just talked about. So on a list of 4 American chainsaw brands still building on American soil, 2 of them are the same company. Sit with that for a second, because it's about to get worse. There's a chainsaw operating somewhere in America right now that isn't cutting firewood or dropping trees. It's probably underwater, attached to a diver, cutting through a bridge, piling in complete darkness. That saw was built in Milwaukee, Oregon. If you open a Stanley hydraulic chainsaw manual, you'll find the address right there, 3810 SE, Nayef Road, Milwaukee, Oregon. The manuals are printed in the United States, and warranty work goes back to the same facility. These aren't imported specialty tools with an American sticker on the box. They're built for some of the toughest jobs imaginable. The most common models are the CS05 and CS06. Unlike a conventional chainsaw, they don't have a gasoline engine, spark plug, or pull cord. Instead, they're powered by hydraulic flow supplied by a truck, power pack, or other hydraulic source. The result is a remarkably compact saw that can deliver between 8 and 10 horsepower while weighing only 6.25 pounds without a bar. To put that into perspective, an Echo CS5 9.0 Timberwolf weighs 13.2 pounds and produces roughly 4 horsepower. The Stanley is about half the weight and can deliver more than double the power while running a bar up to 20 inches long. Of course, there's a catch. You can't throw one in the back of a pickup and head into the woods. Without a hydraulic power source, it's just a piece of metal. That's why these saws live in places where hydraulic power already exists. Utility crews use them from bucket trucks. Railroad crews use specialized versions to cut ties on active rail lines. Fire and rescue teams keep them ready for extrication work. And underwater, divers use hydraulic models to cut bridge pilings, dock structures, and heavy timbers with full chain speed available the instant they squeeze the trigger. Now here's the part that matters for this list. Stanley Hydraulic Tools is part of Stanley Infrastructure, which falls under Stanley Black & Decker, one of America's largest industrial companies. Here's what we lost. Homelight. Founded in 1921 in Port Chester, New York, by Charles Ferguson. They built the world's first one-man chainsaw, and in 1963 they built the XL-12 magnesium frame, 12-pound powerhead, one of the most recognizable saws ever made. Textron bought them. Then John Deere. And in 2001, Deere sold Homelight to Tektronic Industries of Hong Kong, the same conglomerate behind Ryobi and Milwaukee. The company that invented the one-man chainsaw is a nameplate now, held overseas. Poulan. Claude Poulan, Shreveport, Louisiana, 1940s. His saws logged the entire American Southeast. Today, Poulan Pro is a Husqvarna brand. Some of it still gets built in Georgia and Arkansas, but the profit goes to Stockholm. McCulloch, Johnsard, Weed Eater, Red Max, all Husqvarna. Remington, just gone. America invented the portable chainsaw. America invented the one-man chainsaw. America invented saw chain itself in a Portland basement by copying a Beetle, and then America sold every single brand that came out of it. Not one survived as an American company. So what do you do with all that? Start by understanding that Made in America on a chainsaw isn't a checkbox. It's a ladder with 3 rungs. Manufactured, metal, cut, cast, and machined here. Assembled, foreign parts, put together here. Marketed, a brand office in America and a product from somewhere else. The FTC unqualified Made in USA standard is all or virtually all. Essentially, every significant part and process has to be domestic. And by that standard, no chainsaw sold in this country clears the bar. Not Stihl, not Echo, not anybody. Every saw on the market runs a foreign carburetor, foreign plastics, foreign chain, or a foreign engine. Which is why the honest brands never say, Made in USA. They say built in the United States, from foreign and domestic parts. The exact phrasing we started this video with. So if what you want is a saw physically put together by Americans that you can buy at a dealer this weekend and drop a downed oak with, that's Echo out of Lake Zurich, Illinois. That's it. And here's the part that should sit wrong with you. The company building more chainsaws on American soil than anyone alive is Stihl in Virginia Beach, and they've been German since day one. The saws still being built here are built by a Japanese company, a German company, a Swedish company, and one American company that makes a saw you will never own.